The first pope, I also don't want to be here forever on a Saturday. So I'm gonna make this as fast as I can while still effective. The first pope, as you know, is Petrus, Peter the First. The last pope, we are told, will be named Peter the Second. And that means a lot of crazy stuff is about to happen if we get a Peter the Second. But Peter the First was born Simon of Iona. He's a Jewish peregrine engaging in Jewish peregrinatio. That means pilgrimage. So he's a pilgrim from the free provincial subject Roman Empire, who is not a Roman citizen the way Paul would be. Peter, as you know, is traditionally Pope number 1. Capital T traditionally. He's the only one to be crucified upside down, particularly at his own request. He stands at the pearly gates. He was given in consummation of the Old Testament the keys, the Davidic keys of the kingdom. This makes deep typological connections between the Old Testament and the New. He's also a little bit of a goofball, which gives hope to the rest of us. If he's chosen as the leader of the church, not the greatest of the 12 apostles necessarily, which I think was pretty obviously John the Beloved. He wasn't Pope John the Beloved. Peter was. And the greatest of the apostles in the Acts of the Apostles period is probably Paul, if you judge it on merit. Peter was among the top most important and favorite apostles. Peter, James, and John. Peter, James, John, and later Paul. But he was in the top 25% of apostles if we're doing like a law school ranking system, but he was not probably the top one. And so that tells us something. The popes do not need to be impeccable, nor are they infallible unless they make the kinds of ex cathedra decrees that we're really only sure 2 popes have done, maybe more. Peter reigned from 30 to 64 AD. It gets a little hazy whether or not he was actually killed in the Mamertine prison there, which you can go sit in. We lived a short walk away from the Mamertine in 64 or 65. Some people even say 67. So he remained Pope until 67, but he might have been dead. They just didn't want to change guard early. But change guard they did. Pope number 2 is Pope Linus, also a saint. The next 33 popes after Linus will all be saints. He's mentioned in the New Testament. Again, the casual historicity chain of evidence that that you can cross check to contextualize the fact that these guys were real guys. They were the real leader after Peter from 67 to 76, the next 9 years. Saint Linus is mentioned in 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 21. He's credited with decreeing that women should cover their heads in church. Can you believe that? The second pope says women should cover their heads in church. St. Peter was too busy being crucified.
Right out the gate.
Upside down. But right out the gate, the first successor is like, women, read the Bible. Well, the Bible wasn't even around then.
But isn't the church feminist?
Yeah. Well, weren't the popes feminists? And he's mentioned there. So Peter's in the Gospels. Linus is in the epistles, and he reigns from 67 to 76. What will also be mentioned in the epistles to Timothy, same letters which existed then but weren't yet canonized for another 300 years after 67 to 76 AD. Also in 1 Timothy is a bunch of base stuff about women covering their heads. So the same epistle that mentions Pope Linus, the second pope in the church, Pope St. Linus, is the epistle to Timothy, which says what Linus really was known for. Women need to cover themselves in church.